Okay, so today's session is on the nature of offense. The nature of offense. So the nature of a thing refers to having a certain characteristic or quality. And there are some distinctive characteristics of offense. Okay, offense is a perceived insult or perceived disregard to someone's standard. So when you are offended, you feel insulted, you feel disregarded, you feel degraded. Okay, and offense generally brings about feelings of resentment, of anger, irritation, and other harsh feelings and emotions, right? When you become offended by something. These harsh emotions, they seek out opportunities to fulfill themselves. Okay. They desire to be manifested outwardly, physically. Okay. They don't want to be dealt with internally. They want to be seen, heard, and felt out loud. Okay, so when you are offended and you feel those feelings of resentment, of anger, of irritation, you'll find that these types of emotions and feelings, they want to fulfill themselves. They want to manifest outwardly. They want you to do something so that you feel better, right? And then there's other more subtle feelings that is not, outwardly manifested, like sadness or fear of being your true self, low self-esteem and disappointment. These like to remain hidden from other people. Okay, they are silent but dangerous because they are more mentally impactful. Okay, they are working behind the scenes, still in your regular patterns of thinking and feeling. So even though those subtle responses to offense, they might seem small, but they're more mentally impactful to you. Okay. Offense creates opposition where there was none before. Offense also creates resistance, right? Sometimes you become offended and you resist your own growth. You resist the people that were sent to motivate you, that were sent to help you. Offense also creates arguments, right? And so it's important to know the nature of offense, the character of it, so that you can keep your perceptions clear and unaltered. And this will keep you from accepting offense so easily, right? Because your perceptions will be based on positive influences and not these negative emotions and these negative feelings, okay? So even if that's the intention behind the act or the comment that you heard that offended you, you still do not have to accept it. It's something that you have to agree with in order for you to have it, okay? People cannot offend you if you don't give them that power. Okay. Once you know the intent is to cause an insult to you, you can decide not to invite it into your mind where it gets far enough to create an emotional output from you. Okay. So you can process it and leave it in your mind. Don't allow it to get to your emotions, right? And cause that output and cause it to manifest outwardly with you. Okay. So remember, your emotions are a part of your soul. Your emotions are a part of your soul, and you do not want offense to get into your soul. Okay. That's too close to your will. And if you allow offense to influence your will, whatever is said or done to you that you are offended by, it will begin to drive your entire life. Your life will move based on what offended you, who offended you, right? Because it now has control over your will. So we want to keep those offenses out of our emotions, okay? With offense, you have to stoop or bend to lower yourself to that insult, okay? Offense is not something that meets you at the level you are, right? It has to be below you in order to insult you, right? It's never in front of you. It's never above you. The nature of offense is to be behind you, right? Because it's triggering something that already happened. So it's something behind you or beneath you, meaning it's below your standard. It's not something you should even address if you're not offended, right? So if you don't want to be offended, don't stoop down to its level. Don't turn around to accept it, because offense, the nature of offense is to be below you so that you stoop or be behind you so that you look back. Okay. And like I said, keep it in your mind to process your response to it. But again, do not let it go to your emotions. Okay. So think about why you accept offense, right? Think about why you were offended. There is an underlying issue with how you see yourself. If it offends you, that means you stooped or you turn around. Okay. And I'm not saying there's an underlying issue with what you portray yourself to be, but inwardly, if you feel less than or inferior in some area, that is normally the area that you're easily offended. The places you have confidence in, people can say whatever. You're confident, you're content. You're not stooping, you're not turning around for the things that you're confident in. Normally, it's an area where you yourself feel undervalued, where you feel inferior. Okay. So what area is that offense coming for? Right? That is also the area where you have yet to show your strength. That is also most likely the area where your talent, where your gift is, what you're anointed to do, what you are born to do. Right? The offense comes to counteract the power of God within you. Right? Because once you realize that the power is in you to do this thing that is vexing you, causing you fear, and making you run and hide, once you realize that, then that offense can then become a slingshot to propel you over into your purpose. Okay? But that gift stays hidden in you if you never ask yourself, what is this offense attached to? Why am I triggered right now? Okay. It is an area where you feel inferior, maybe because you haven't done all that you're capable of doing, right? So that offends you. So this is why you should process your hurt, process those offenses, process those traumas, right? Unprocessed pain and offense is never dead. You can bury it, it never dies. You just buried it alive, okay? It doesn't die. You're not letting it go if you have not processed it and if you cannot talk about it from a stance of victory. It still has power over you and it still can be used against you. So you're going to need to confront it, deal with the fear of confronting it, right? Deal with the emotions of confronting it and get rid of it. Because these offenses, if you bury it, it can live in the deep recesses of your mind. It can live in your subconscious. And you never know it's there because you buried it, you didn't process it. And all it takes is someone to say the right thing. And if it's one of those harsh feelings, it's going to try to manifest outwardly, right? So let's talk about those who do the offending. Okay. If this is you, you'll understand why you should stop offending people and deal with your own offenses. Okay. A person who offends, they lie, they twist things, they manipulate, they rebel against the truth, they torment people, slander them, they cannot stand order, and they also talk to themselves, right? They will have whole conversations in their head of how an argument will go so they can get the best of somebody, right? That's how you know you really are someone who you are trying to hone that craft and that gift of offending someone, right? You cannot offend and motivate. You cannot offend and encourage. You cannot offend and build anybody up. That is counterproductive. Okay. These type of people are double-minded and you do not want to be influenced by them. Okay. So if you are the person that's doing the offending, right, deal with your offenses and stop allowing the offense to fulfill what it wants, its desires with you. Okay. People that are offensive to others become that way because they were rejected, right? Somebody rejected or offended them and they never dealt with it. So they decide to live their lives trying to prove some type of point versus doing what makes them happy, versus operating in their purpose, right? Viewing your life and making decisions through those types of shady lenses will keep you confused and unhappy. Okay. When you are rejected from within, then you think every promise is a lie. You think everybody else is better, right? Because you're comparing yourself to them through broken lenses. When people try to encourage and motivate you, it sounds like nagging, right? Or you don't receive it because you've taken offense to somebody trying to motivate you, trying to help you. Self rejection is the worst kind of rejection because only you can pull you out of it, right? You have to decide to stop living with this victim mentality, right? We are victors. We are more than conquerors. Okay, you are offended by everything and everybody because your mind has this twisted view. It's constantly seeing the negative. Okay, and what happens is you continue to dig yourself lower and lower and lower into that pit, because this all happens in the mind. Before anything ever happens outwardly, it happens in your mind first. Okay, offense is a tool of oppression. Offense is a tool of oppression, right? Offense is mental and emotional slavery. Okay, if you can get offended, offense will penetrate that wall of hope and then uses that lack of hope to tap into your authority to make sure that you feel powerless, that you feel helpless. Okay, so when you are focused and you're in pursuit of your purpose, when you begin to feel offended, when you know you have that momentum going, you know you have that drive going, and you feel offended, that is your sign to not change directions. That is your sign to not, don't stoop low, don't turn around, keep going and go harder. Okay, your hope that you will win must stand as a wall of iron. It should not be able to be broken down easily. Okay, do not give your authority over by thinking thoughts of defeat and thoughts of hopelessness and helplessness and not feeling worthy. Okay, an offended person blocks motivation. Somebody trying to motivate you, you getting offended, right? You always think that someone is criticizing you, but there's a such thing called constructive criticism. They want you to win, okay? But because you're so easily offended, you can't receive it. You can't receive the motivation, right? Offenses are distracting you from pursuing your purpose and staying in position, right? Because you are offended, you fail to position yourself where you need to be in order to receive the desires that you say you want, right? So you get offended because you see somebody else in position. You see somebody else with the things that you want, right? You offended because you know you could have reached those same goals had you not been busy complaining and comparing and wasting your time being afraid, right? So your offended self would stay in that same place, not moving, watching everybody else get the things they want, complaining about it, being jealous about it. While you're talking about them, while you're complaining about them, while you're feeling bad about yourself, that's the time that you could be using to pursuing your purpose, to getting yourself in position to be great, right? We're all great at something. Every last person on this earth is great at something. But if you take that focus off of that and put it on someone else comparing, right? You're stuck. So this moves us to another nature of offense, which is that offense steals your peace. Offense steals your peace. And it does this by creating worry and anxiety, right? About the things you cannot change and the things you will not change. A lot of you are anxious about things that you refuse to change, right? Why are you still worrying about it if you know you're not going to make the changes? Why are you still anxious about it? Right? It destroys the contentment because you're continuously lowering your standard. Every time you feel rejected, you settle, right? Instead of doing what you know you have the ability to do. Okay, you start to settle, you start to feel less motivated instead of upholding your values and moving according to the greatness that is on the inside of you, right? Offense steals your peace. Offense also drains your power. Offense drains your power. It sucks out the energy you thought you had when you set the goal by keeping you in that cycle of not today, not this year, not this month, right? You say, I'll wait till I get the money. I'll wait till I get the husband. I'll wait till I get the wife. I'll wait till I get the degree. I'll wait till I get the position. I'll wait till I have the baby. All of these things are cycles. All of these excuses take energy. It takes brain power to uphold these excuses, right? It takes away your drive when you keep putting your focus on why you can't instead of by any means necessary. Okay? Both take the same amount of energy. It takes the same amount of energy to receive a positive influence that it does to receive a negative influence. Why not be positive? Right? Why not push yourself? Right? Because it's draining you to keep yourself low because you're meant to be higher than that. Right? While you're making sure you have reasons not to do something, you could be dropping the offense to call the person that you don't feel like calling, right? Because you know they have the knowledge or the resources that you need to get to the next step. Power goes out of you when you place it in negative emotions, okay? It makes you go in the opposite direction. Laziness takes energy, okay? You have to work to make sure you have the tools to be lazy. You have to avoid all the people that's going to ask you about that project or the goal you had. You got to walk or drive the long way around to not be reminded of what you should be doing. You have to work to avoid all of your resources, to avoid your accountability and your responsibility. That takes work. So if you're going to be working anyway, if you're going to be using energy anyway, why not use it to be the best version of yourself? Right? And without the knowledge of how offense work, you will continue to respond to it the way it wants you to. Okay. Accepting offense will cause you to respond by isolating yourself or by public humiliation. Accepting offense will cause you to respond by isolating yourself or by public humiliation. You will publicly lash out. You will embarrass yourself and others. You will dishonor yourself and others. You will commit murder verbally, emotionally, psychologically, physically because of offense, right? And you may ask, how do you murder somebody in these ways, right? I'm glad you asked. I'm going to tell you because you might be doing it. So you murder someone verbally when you verbally assault them with harsh words, when you harass them, when you insult them, when you humiliate them. Even the silent treatment can be a form of humiliation, okay? You murder someone emotionally when you assassinate their character with emotional intimidation, by criticizing them, by belittling them. You can murder someone psychologically by destroying someone's true identity when you're negatively influencing their thoughts and actions, right? You're causing them to be someone else. You're murdering this person. Or you can murder them physically by ending their life, okay? So again, accepting offense will cause you to respond by isolating yourself or by public humiliation. And when I say public humiliation, I'm saying that anytime there's an audience of more than one person, it's public. Okay. Remember, offense wants to manifest outwardly. So it needs witnesses to fulfill itself. Okay. And the other version of that is isolation, right? So the isolation response is when it's just you by yourself. No one knows what happened. You never told anyone how you felt about it. You don't want to tell nobody how you felt about it. So you struggle inwardly. So that's the isolation response to offense. Okay. Your relationships with others suffer. Your identity suffers because the way you see yourself becomes more and more distorted. Okay. Again, offense brings about isolation. So the nature of offense is to be beneath you or behind you. Okay, this is important. The nature of offense is to be beneath you or behind you. Okay, it is to isolate you privately or humiliate you publicly. It steals your peace, it distracts you from purpose, and it drains your power. Offense oppresses you and places you under its control. Offense counteracts and blocks your gifts and talents, right? Offense is a murderer, okay? It murders people's characters, it murders their identity, it humiliates them, okay? So track and identify your areas of weakness. And wherever you find your areas of weakness, you'll find that those areas are the areas where you are easily offended. Okay. Identify the moment you feel offense and make the choice if you're going to turn around or stoop down to its level in order to accept it. Okay. So even after you have decided to not allow that offense to distract you, you still must deal with any unhealthy escapes from those bad feelings and emotions, right? There's a lot of unhealthy ways we have with how we deal with stuff. Okay. If you don't deal with why you got offended, no matter how quickly you take the right path, it will keep popping up ever so often as a hindrance or a distraction, right? You don't want it to become a distraction at the wrong time in front of the wrong people. Okay. Because what will you do if your destiny helper offends you? What will you do? And some people might say, oh, I'll just find another person to help me. But what if that person was the one that God appointed to help you for this season, right? Are you going to forfeit your destiny because you didn't want to work on your weakness, right? That's a hefty price to pay when you are somebody else's destiny helper, right? You're supposed to be the one to help someone else get to where they need to be. Okay, so resolve your offenses. Don't just bury them. You're burying them alive. They're still alive and they're going to pop up, most likely at the wrong time because they want an audience, right? Get back in pursuit of your purpose. If you already know what this is, every single day you should be working towards that purpose. It doesn't matter if you send a text, send an email, look up something, do some research, tell somebody about it at the grocery store, do something every day to be in pursuit of your purpose. If you're not doing something every day, that day you are not doing anything towards your purpose. There's no pursuing. You're just standing still, right? And that one day turns into 2 days and 3 days and 3 years and 30 years, right? It just keeps going. Okay? So when I say get in position, I mean the position of power. No longer allowing things to intimidate you, to humiliate you, or to frighten you out of what already was predestined for you to have. So I wanted you to know the nature of offenses. It's something you have to receive, it's something you have to accept, right? Okay, in order to accept it, you have to get lower, right? Because it's always lower than you or behind you. And so when it comes, you're going to change direction, right? You're either going to look down or you're going to look back. And so understand that's what offense comes to do. And so that concludes our session for today on the nature of offenses. I wanted to end with this statement. It's a little different from the other one. So I want to let you all know that this feeling is temporary. It is just a process. Face your disappointments in yourself. Face your disappointments in others. Some stuff is your fault. You just made a bad decision, but you can make it better. You can change the outcome. Your life is more than the sum of your hard experiences. Your life is more than your pain. Your life is more than your failures. You can still climb that mountain or command it to move. You will live again. Your happiness is not determined by what is happening now. It is determined by what will happen later. What are you going to do? Okay. What you do with this moment is imperative to you understanding why you needed to go through it, why it had to happen to you. And after that, you will see that it was happening for you. So that concludes my time. Deal with your weaknesses and your offenses. Don't allow it to have power over you, or your life will be driven by it. Okay. So God bless you all. Have a great rest of the day. See you next Friday.